Hello everyone, Scotty Collier, West Ham Fan TV. I'm bringing you the ratings after the Everton game. Ryan's not well at the moment, so he's not been able to do a video, so I'm stepping in for him. Hopefully I'll do a good enough job for you. As I said, I'll be rating the players after the 0-0 draw against Everton. A great team performance. You know, Everton have been a bogey side of ours, you know, over the past few years. But, you know, we stepped up, we put a massive performance in and made them look very, very average. You know, every player on that pitch put a shift in. We just let that cutting edge up top. You know, that was the only downside of the game, really. We didn't have that, you know, that enough in us to go and get a goal. Which, you know, if we had won that game, I don't think anyone could have complained. As I said, there was a few changes in the side. Adrian coming back in goal. You know, fully deserved to come back in after last week's, Randolph last week, with the mistakes that he made against Sunderland. So he's been given his chance. Adrian returned in typical Adrian style. Commanded his box really well, always communicating with a back three, but has that heart in mouth moment. You know, a throw in from, I do believe, Fernandes. I may be wrong with that, but Fernandes, you know, he threw the ball to him. Lukaku's chased him down. He's gone to clear it, completely missed the ball, but luckily enough, managed to dive on top of it, and you know, the panic was over. After that, really, he didn't have much else to do. You know, I don't think Everton had a shot on target. But as I said, he commanded the ball, commanded his box well, kept talking to the defenders. You know, so it was a decent return for him. So I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10 for his performance. In front of him was a back three. Playing on the right of that back three was Jose Font. For me, the best game he's had in a West Ham shirt. You know, I thought he was absolutely superb. He got forward as you need defenders to do when they're playing in that three. You know, he linked up with the midfield well, put in some key and important tackles and interceptions. You know, he looked comfortable playing now. You know, maybe it was having the players alongside him or the system that we were playing, but he looks much, much more comfortable for me in that system. As I said, I thought it was his best game, so I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Alongside him, playing in the middle of the three defenders, was Winston Reid, returning from injury, taking the captain's armband, and for me, he didn't look like he'd even missed the game. You know, he's been absolutely superb this season so far. He picked up that injury. Normally, when players pick up a knock, sometimes they take their time to come back. He was chucked straight in, playing up against Lukaku, you know, who we all know Lukaku's record against us. So it was a tough game for him to come back, especially coming back as captain as well. But he didn't put a foot wrong the whole game, I don't think. You know, I can't remember him doing anything else wrong. He helped Font and Collins. The three of them marshalled Lukaku absolutely brilliantly. You know, when he drifted over to Font's side, he dealt with him. When he came into the middle, Reid dealt with him. Again, putting a couple of key important tackles. But, you know, just the presence of having him back there, putting in the performance that he did as captain, you know, it was superb. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. As I said, the third centre-back out of three, James Collins, he was immense. You know, he was absolutely awesome. Put his body on the line as he does, threw his head in where people want him to put their feet. You know, the guy was brilliant. And he had Lukaku in his pocket. I think Lukaku got away from him once, and as I said, when he did, the other defenders were there to help cover. You know, he was my man in the match. You know, he was absolutely brilliant. He showed that he was well up for it. He really wanted it. And again, he's another player who didn't really put a foot wrong in the 90 minutes. So as I said, man in the match, 9 out of 10 for Ginger Collins. Playing left wing back, Arthur Masuaku. So we played 3 at the back, so we played wing backs. Masuaku out on the left, showed some really good skill, quick feet, taking players on, driving up players, linking up with the midfield. You know, he linked up a few times with Lanzini and Sheku. You know, another great performance. I think he's got better and better and better. You know, he's had this coming in for Creswell, he's had this run in the side, and he's improving week in, week out. You know, I just hope that, you know, Slav don't shove Creswell just back in because it is him. You know, I hope Masuaku keeps being given a chance and he keeps improving the way he does. You know, he reminded me against Everton a lot what Creswell was doing 2 seasons ago when we signed him. You know, getting forward, overlapping with the players on that side. It was just disappointing where he did get in crossing positions, that we didn't have someone like Andy Carroll or even Sacco to cross the ball into to give us a bit of an aerial threat. You know, Kaleri and Ayew ain't the tallest of players. So that would have been nice to see. But I said, solid performance from Masuaku. Defensively sound, 8 out of 10. Playing on the right wing, Fernandez, you know, I was quite critical of him playing out wide right previously in the season, that his work rate wasn't great and his defending wasn't brilliant. Put me wrong a bit in this game. You know, he worked really hard down the right-hand side, got forward, linked up well with the midfield and the strikers. When he needed to defend, he was there to defend. I think it helped a lot having the back three and a player like Font behind him, talking to him, and also with the midfield that we have, you know, there was always cover there. But he showed flashes of what he can do. You know, as I said, good link-up play with the other midfielders. He had a chance in the game and was a bit unlucky. But a solid performance from him. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Moving into the centre midfield, playing the holding role. Probably his first start in the Premier League playing the holding role is Nordveit. Someone who I've, you know, rated, everyone else has sort of slated. He done exactly what we expect him to do. You know, he was brought in to play the holding role, the holding midfield role. And barring the first 10 minutes, you know, he looked a bit shaky. Gave the ball away a couple of times, but that could be a bit of nerves starting for the first time in a long time. You know, he hasn't had a lot of game time, but after he got that out of the way, he showed a great range of passing. He pinged a brilliant ball over to Masuaku, pinged another one over to, I do believe it was Fernandez. You know, his range of passing was good. Important tackles, helped break up the play. A few good interceptions, you know, kept it simple, worked side to side. When he did go forward, I think we had a corner. The ball dropped to him. Hit a shot that was blocked. Picked it up, put it on his left. Hit another one. It went straight to the goalkeeper. But it's good to see a player doing that. A player having the confidence to do that, especially when he hasn't had much game time. So, as I said, solid performance playing as that holding role. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 for that game. The other, moving a bit further forward in the midfield, Sheku Kouyaté gave us a typical Kouyaté game. You know, box to box, willing runner, had a chance, not so much different to the goal he scored against Swansea. Had that chance, you know, just went wide. But with Czech, you know what you're going to get. You know, as I said, he's always a willing runner. He takes players on, and that's when I think he's the most dangerous. He just done exactly what we expect him to do. He was replaced late on in the game by Creswell. But I said, I think he had a solid game. Played well, so I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Next in the midfield was Lanzini. Our little Argentinian maestro. You know, he was excellent. You know, he's for all our midfielders, he stood out the most. I think 90% of our chances were created by him. You know, his link-up play with the other players was brilliant. Again, getting the ball, running at players, causing problems. At times, the Everton players couldn't handle him. You know, they were scared when he picked up the ball, when he ran at them, and he caused them so many problems. Excellent corners. You know, I think he created 3 or 4 chances from corners, put in a free kick. All right, the free kick that he had wasn't the greatest, but, you know, he's that little spark in the midfield. We need to keep giving him the ball, keep playing him the way we're playing him. You know, to be honest, I think if it weren't for the excellent performance of the defence and Ginger Collins, I think Lanzini may have even nicked man of the match. But he was absolutely superb in my mind. Does exactly what we need him to do. So I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. When we look at the front line, Andre Ayew playing alongside Jonathan Kaleri. Sorry, Ayew, he showed glimpses of what he can do. You know, he's not an out-and-out striker. I don't think it suits him playing up top in the 2. He likes to play off of you know, off of a striker, off of someone like Andy Carroll, or just behind him. Sort of like the Kevin Nolan role, I think is more suited for him. But as I said, he's a willing runner. He does try it. He links up well with the midfield. You know, he shows flashes of what he can do, but he isn't a striker. You know, so sometimes it's a bit difficult playing in that position. You know, he ran down a few blind alleys, gave the ball away a little bit too much. But overall, he did okay. So I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. As I said, alongside him, Jonathan Kaleri, a little bit disappointed if I'm honest. He holds up the ball really well, you know, and brings the midfield into play a bit. But we need a bit more from him. You know, he's a willing runner, but he hasn't got a lot of pace. He hasn't got a lot of skill. You know, he looks more like a fox in a box, but he can't finish. You know, maybe that's the lack of games and not getting constant starts. Maybe if he does get a goal, he may push on there. But to be honest, I want to see a bit more from him. You know, as I said, he held up the ball well at times, linked up with the midfield. Again, he's another one. Sometimes he does things and you think, yeah, he's going to cut it. And then other times, you know, you just think, oh, what have we got here? So, yeah, as I said, I was a little bit disappointed, but, you know, he worked hard. So sometimes that sort of is a bit of saving grace, especially in the performance that the rest of the team were putting in. So I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. Subs that come on, Sacco replaced Caleri with about 62 minutes gone. Come on and done exactly what we know Sacco can do. Again, another willing runner. He makes them runs. He makes the runs out wide, so it relieves the pressure. We can put the ball in out wide, and we know he's going to run onto it. Had a bit of a half chance really. Lanzini put him through, took the ball down okay, got his shot away, but you know, maybe a fitter Sacco who's played more games may have done a bit better. But again, it's good to see moving into the positions, getting there. Eventually, the more game time becomes, them half chances, you know, we may start seeing goals from it. The other sub coming on for Sheku was Aaron Cresswell. Come on to go over to right wing, so Fernandez moved into the middle. Come on about, I think, 80 minutes, I do believe, 82 minutes, something like that. So he didn't have a lot of time to show us what he could do. Again, not long been back from injury. Sort of like took a little while to get in the game. Gave the ball away a couple of times. But again, he's a willing runner. You know, playing out in the wing. He got up and down as much as he needed to. You know, he didn't do nothing brilliantly. We didn't concede. So that was the main thing. So I'm going to give him a 6 out of 10. As I said, that's it. It was a good performance from the boys. Good hard-fought draw. As I said, I think we let that cutting edge up top, which is a shame because I think we thoroughly deserved overall to win the game. I hope I've done a good job in Ryan's place. Don't forget to check out all our videos. All the fan cams and post-match pint are up. On the social will be going up tomorrow. Midweek musings I do believe will be out Wednesday or Thursday. I'll be back on Thursday with my big match preview for the Stoke game. Dan and Jason will be back on the Friday with the FIFA, and then we will return for post-match pint. And the fan cams will be up Saturday, sorry, and we'll return for post-match pint on Sunday. The boys are travelling up there Saturday and be travelling back, so we'll probably film it on Sunday morning. So look out for that Sunday afternoon. One thing left to say, come on you Irons.